Hey, friendo, Steve here. We're going to take a break from our usual fare here at Wrestle Juice, where we put together tier ranks and we look at, I don't know, matches and pay-per-views and old stuff. I don't know what we do here. What do we do at Wrestle Juice? We look at old stuff, we look at new stuff, and we talk about wrestling, because wrestling is a wonderful escape. It's a wonderful escape for us to sit down and watch tradition, a form of entertainment that goes back like 100 years or whenever they started doing professional wrestling in the carnivals and whatnot. And we're just going to take a break because there's too much happening right now in my life. Obviously, as you guys know, Wyndham Rotunda, otherwise known as Bray Wyatt, passed away yesterday. Me and Larson did a video of it over at Going In Raw last night, discussing it, his impact on wrestling. And, there's always a delicate balance between, what I do at Going In Raw or the Friendo Club stuff, and then what I do over here at Wrestle Juice, because there might be some of you who just watch Wrestle Juice and don't watch the other stuff, and that's totally fine. I think most of you probably watch both, but I understand there might be an audience who's like, hey, you know what? I just want the one guy. I just want the one guy. And so, but if you want my, well thought out thoughts on Bray Wyatt, they're over there at the Going In Raw, and I'll talk about that here. But it's been a weird week, and it's been a crap year. The other day we lost Terry Funk in the wrestling community, and Terry Funk was 79 years old, and that makes a measure of sense. My dad passed away this past Sunday night. It was Monday morning. It was late Sunday night, and so that's just sort of on my mind. And so when the news came down that Wyndham Rotunda passed away at the age of 36, that's 8 years younger than me. 36 years old. I lost my brother-in-law at the age of 34 back in 2008. And that still gets to me, because nobody should go that young. I don't care who you are, if you're an amazing person or not. Nobody should go that young. And I'm already sort of processing, and the reason I'm doing this video, is because this as its own channel, I should talk about the Bray Wyatt stuff, but at the same time, this channel is a personal thing of mine. It's a personal project of mine, and I think that sometimes it's just good to talk about stuff, and I think it's good to hear people talk about stuff, and I don't know how many people are going to watch this video or what you're going to take away from it, but I think that sometimes it's just good to understand that we're all people. We're all human. We all go through stuff. I've got like 10 minutes, for example, before I have to leave and go pick up Alabama from school, so I won't take up too much of your time. But I've been sort of dealing with the grieving process and the mourning process. And my dad battled brain cancer for almost 4 years. We found out that he had glioblastoma back in October of 2020. And he took the prognosis, the diagnosis, whatever it's called, really, really well. My dad was a very positive person. And I remember when the family got together to talk about what the doctors had told us, because the doctors didn't tell us anything about my doctors did not tell my dad anything about glioblastoma in the first place, because my dad's oncologist he's a very positive person. He's like, hey, you know what? This is what the situation is. We're going to deal with it. I'm not going to put any amount of time on how much you have left, because we're going to treat it. We're going to try to fight this thing, and whatever happens, happens. And so I like that philosophy, but I think sort of lost in that initial diagnosis was the realities of that specific type of brain cancer, of glioblastoma. It is a bastard. It is a very fierce disease that is relentless. And the median age, so like the normal age of survival, for glioblastoma is about 15 months, and that's if you get treatment. If you don't get treatment, it's closer to 4 months. Well, my dad almost got 4 years. So like one part of me is feels very, very lucky that I got all that time with him. But the other part of me, even over the past 8 months ago, he had a second procedure. Like the first procedure he had almost 4 years ago was great. It was fine. Everything worked out great. He was back to his normal self. The only difference is he couldn't drive. Eventually he didn't like being around big crowds. So there are certain compromises there, but he was there. Like if you met him, you probably wouldn't know that he had brain cancer. He was a brain cancer survivor at that point. And so everything was fine. And then 8 months ago, it recurred. It came back, which is what glioblastoma does. And he had to go back for a second procedure, and things went bad. And so over the past 8 months, it's just been really hard. He was in a super diminished state, and, he still had that positivity, but, you sort of are able to a degree, I guess, to prepare. Like you can't prepare for somebody having a sudden heart attack and passing away. You can't prepare for somebody dying in a car accident, but with brain cancer, if you understand there is probably a limited amount of time, this is probably the thing that's going to get him, you can kind of emotionally prepare for that. And even though I was emotionally prepared for it, I really wasn't, because I don't think anybody really is. Even with him being alive in a hospital bed at my parents' house, super confused, he's still alive. And now that he's gone, it has weighed very heavily on me. Now, the good thing is I've got a very strong family unit, and we all support each other, and I'm getting through it, and I'm learning to accept it, and it's still early, and it's still really raw, and it really sucks. But, that is my experience right now. And so yesterday, when I read Triple H's tweet, which I happened to load it up like 30 seconds after he posted it, I read it like 3 times because I didn't understand it. I read it and I saw Mike Rotunda, and I was like, oh, IRS. And then I saw informed us Wyndham tragically passed, and I was like, Bray, what? And I read it like 3 times. Like, wait, did Mike Rotunda pass? No. Did Barry Windham pass? No. Wait, Bray Wyatt passed at 36 years old. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. A human being, a guy who by every single account now, when you get on Twitter and read all these different tributes to him, was just a terrific human being and an insanely creative one. Passed away. He had 4 kids and a wife. And I'm just like, what is up with 2023? Why is it just a big clusterfuck? Why is it a mess? Back 3 months ago, almost 4 months ago now, one of my best friends, the Enforcer, passed away. And it just happened. It was like one day we were doing WrestleMania and he was on the top of the world, and then like a week later or a month later, like 2 weeks after that, he was like in the hospital, and then 2 weeks after that, he was gone. So it's just hard to do all that. And, I saw on my last video, or the one before the last one, a lot of people who follow me on social media knew what happened to my dad. And I'm so grateful for the community here and over at Going in Raw, the entire Friendo umbrella, whatever, because everybody was, pouring out their hearts and saying, hey, condolences. And believe me, I read every single one, and I'm really appreciative of it all. But yeah, the Bray Wyatt thing, it stings, man, because this guy he was special. He was absolutely a special person who, no matter what you thought about what the company held for him, creatively speaking, with his pro wrestling matches and what he won and didn't win, et cetera, you could tell that at the very least, so much of what he did, he poured himself into. He took some major risks, and the guy really tried to do something new in an industry that doesn't often celebrate new. It so often sticks to the tried and true tropes that go back decades and decades. And to see somebody do stuff that was absolutely new and vital and fresh, even if they couldn't quite crack how to pay it off in the end so that there was a satisfying creative solution, there was so much there that was creatively satisfying that people just, I mean, I've seen on Twitter today, just clip after clip after clip, moment after moment after moment. And it doesn't mean like, you know, entire feuds or whatever, stories were all great and everything, but it was just moment after moment after moment, just memorable stuff that really just seemed to scratch the surface of what the guy probably could have ended up doing if they just sort of figured out, okay, what is it you bring that we can then translate to pro wrestling? And honestly, who gives a shit about that? Because pro wrestling is about moments. Life's about moments, I think. And I was lucky enough to have a whole lifetime's worth of special moments with my dad. And so that's been on my mind a lot. And then to hear about Bray Wyatt and to see the special moments that an entire fan base and an industry fan base have had because of him. On one hand, it's really lovely to see that. On the other hand, it's really just tragic that those moments are going to be done with. And so I'm really sad about it. And I guess that's all I came here to say. And I came to say it's okay to be sad about things, and it's okay to talk about things like that. And if you've lost somebody to this fucked up year, it's good to talk about it. It's good to get it off your chest. So find people to talk to. I don't care if it's we've got a Wrestle Juice Discord. It's in the comment. It's in the description below. If you guys ever need anybody to talk to, there's a terrific community there. You can. And I'm sure as of this weekend with All In coming up, I'll have plenty more stuff here on Wrestle Juice. We can go back to the escapism of pro wrestling and the escapism of YouTube pro wrestling, and all that. But in the meantime, I just wanted to say I'm hurting. And I know a lot of people out there are as well, and that's okay. It's human to hurt. And then we get back up on the horse and we keep riding. But you got to find a way to get back on the horse. And that's all I have to say about that. So yeah. We'll see you next time.